Hi, we're Diamond and Silk, and we love the Naked Truth Report.
Warning, the following program has been rated T for truth.
You can't handle the truth.
Oh, we think you can. Welcome to the Naked Truth Report with your host, truth warrior and mythbuster Kathleen Wells. The place where we distinguish fact from fiction, where data is used to drive points home, and where Kathleen takes the position that Democrats and black politicians have destroyed black America. Welcome to the Naked Truth Report. Now, your host, Kathleen Wells.
Happy birthday, America. Yes, I'm here live, believe it or not, today. I want you guys to call in and tell me why you love America, why you're patriotic. In fact, Robert Patillo, my guest last week, had me on his show this afternoon, and he asked me that question: why are conservatives patriotic? Why do we love America? I'm not sure yet if I'm going to have a call screener at the half hour. I'll let you know if I have a call screener. So then that after the break, you can call in and tell me why you love America and why you're patriotic. So Robert Patillo had me on his show, and he asked me, why do I love America? Why am I patriotic? I think as one gets older, because you guys know I went to UCLA and UC Berkeley, and those are liberal-leaning institutions. I think most colleges, universities are liberal-leaning. I have my undergraduate degree in political science. I'm so old I can barely remember any of it. And later on today, I'm going to talk about cultural Marxism. Yes, I continue to learn. I take Hillsdale College free online courses, and I was listening to a lecture by Dr. Voddy, I think that's how you pronounce it, Voddie Baucham, Baucham, yeah. I was listening to his lecture on cultural Marxism. So despite having a degree in political science, I really don't remember any of it. So I always need a refresher course. And also, as I'm older and more experienced, I look at it differently. I look at things with different eyes. I perceive them differently. What's that song that not Judy Collins, but I can't remember the woman who, I can't remember it, but it's in the song about not figuring out life. I can't remember it. How you don't know everything ever in life. But as you get older, and you have experience under your belt. Oh, yeah, I've got a call screener now, so you guys can go in. As you get older and you have experience under your belt, you perceive things differently. I think Winston Churchill talked about something like that. I'm paraphrasing, but he said something to the effect that when you're a child, of course you're liberal, and then as you get wisdom and you grow older, you become a conservative. Or something like you think with your heart as a child and you think with your brain as an adult. Well, yeah, experience makes you do that when you go through life. One thing you learn as you get older and with experience is that I talk about this all the time, human nature is a constant. When I took the course on World War II, you see that there were the Axis and the Allies, and they're competing ideologies. One ideology is about collectivism, I think, and the other is like individual liberty and freedom. And now with us and as you get older, you realize now with us dealing with this coronavirus business, we see how individual freedom is paramount, is important, is what you want, is desirable, is the best, is the best way to do things. So there are a limited number of political ideologies in the world. So you think to yourself, there's either authoritarianism, and is that a political ideology? I guess a political ideology or an economic ideology was Marxism. And I learned this from Voddie Baucham. He said that what was it? classical Marxism is what Karl Marx espoused. Classical Marxism. Marx was an economist, so he espoused an economic system slash theory slash philosophy. Those guys that came subsequent to Marx, which was Gramsci, G-R-A-M, I'm not pronouncing it correctly, Gramsci, G-R-A-M-P-S-C-I, I think. And then the Frankfurt School, the Frankfurt School, these were scholars out of Germany, yes. They followed after Marx died in 1888, and Marx's idea of classical Marxism was that there is a natural conflict in history, and that history is divided into three stages. The ancient, let me get some of my notes to make sure I got it right. The ancient, the feudal, and the capitalist. I don't have my notes yet, but yeah, here it is. The ancient, the feudal, there was three stages to history, the ancient, the feudal, and the capitalist. And that these internal strife, this internal conflict within history would require capitalism to fall. Now, he was watching, during his time, he was watching or witnessing the rise of capitalism, and he expected it to fall. And so he expected us to go naturally, because of these natural internal conflicts, to go into a post-capitalist society. Right. Now, we all know what Marxism is, right? It's the bourgeoisie versus the proletariat, from each according to his ability, to each according to his needs. It's group-based. It's a group-based phenomenon. How the group is oppressed by the oppressor. The group is oppressed by the oppressor. And it was about class consciousness. Well, the fact that and as I said, these natural contradictions in history would go to the next phase. And the fact that Marx did not witness the fall of capitalism, these folks that came after his death, his followers, this Gramsci, I think it was Italian, and these the Frankfurt scholars believed that, so what is going on? Because we know the theory is correct, but something is happening. So in walks, after classical Marxism, in walks cultural Marxism. Yes, cultural Marxism. That was brought to us by the Frankfurt scholars and the followers of Marx. And the cultural Marxists believe that there is a hegemony, cultural hegemony, that is oppressing the people. And this cultural hegemony is, it's, at least in American society, it's a cultural hegemony, and this cultural hegemony is spreading out and seeping to the masses through mass media. Yes, the mass media is what's dictating to the people and sort of making them lethargic and lazy and non-activists, and they don't know what they're doing, but they're being dominated by this hegemony in the culture that is making people oppressed. And this cultural hegemony needs to be overthrown. This is what the Frankfurt scholars believed, and the Gramsci or whatever. And initially, actually after World War I, these guys were in Germany, and then they left for Switzerland for 2 years, and then they ended up at Columbia University. Naturally, they're here in America. And this was around 1939. This was right after World War I. Now, remember, Woodrow Wilson was a scholar, and he was following this stuff. They talked about this also. What I'm telling you now is what I learned from my lecture, listening to the lecture with Vadi, what's his last name? Bachman, yeah. But it coincides with what I learned from Hillsdale College with, Woodrow Wilson being a progressive and how they want the administrative state. Well, they were listening to the German philosophers, academicians back then. Also, yes. And they also went to some of them were at Baltimore. Woodrow Wilson was at Princeton. But anyway, and so it's all these intellectuals. And what prompted me, I'm going to go back a little bit, because what prompted me to look at this cultural Marxism is that I was watching, or listening rather, to an interview that, what's his name? Judge Joe Brown was having with Mark Lamont Hill on critical race theory. Oh no, it was an interview about Bill Cosby. I'll touch on that later. It was a wonderful interview about Bill Cosby. I'll discuss that later. But then I realized that Mark Lamont Hill he's a proponent of. He's pushing critical race theory, and he was very passionate about it. He believes in it wholeheartedly. I don't know if you guys know Mark Lamont Hill, but I know he's on MSNBC and CNN and all that stuff. He has a PhD because he made sure to tell Judge Joe Brown that. You guys know Judge Joe Brown. In fact, I may have him on next week with some other black guys, because I spoke with him after the interview, and he had informed me that him and a few other black guys, I think one guy's an astrophysicist and the other one may be Kwame Brown or something, and there's a fourth I can't remember, but they're forming a brain trust for black men. And I thought that was a great thing. I said, because us black women can't do it. You black men have to stand up and, take control of what's going on with black kids and the families. Because us black women, we want to bake cookies and stuff. I am a woman that likes to bake, okay? But men have to lead. They have to lead their families. They have to lead their community. But anyway, so watching that interview with Judge Joe Brown and Mark Lamont Hill, then I went to Mark Lamont Hill interviewing all these conservatives or folks who were against or opponents of critical race theory. One was the young black guy, I don't know, he's a young black guy, conservative. I can't remember his name, but you guys probably remember. He was a Trump supporter, and a few other people. And this Mark Lamont Hill was so passionate and so full of himself, so arrogant about knowing what he knew. But he's a silly man, because he really does, and this is the thing about academicians. They sit in their ivory tower and they have these ideas, and they don't realize that they're simply recycling. This is what Dr. Bachman said. Critical race theory is merely the grandfather to critical race theory is critical theory. And critical theory was Marxist, cultural Marxism. Those guys, those Frankfurt scholars brought cultural Marxism to America. So Mark Lamont Hill is so full of himself. He has his chest pumped out, like I'm a PhD. He told Judge Joe Brown, I'm a PhD. And Judge Joe Brown is like, because Judge Joe Brown was talking about the law, and he's a judge, hello. And it's like, Judge Joe Brown, you guys know how Judge Joe Brown, he doesn't mince words. He's like, dude, you guys should check it out on Twitter, because there's a long string of them arguing. And Mark Lamont Hill now has this channel called Black News Channel. So I think you should check it out. But Judge Joe Brown was like, listen, man, I'm a judge, and you're going to school me on the law? But anyway, I want to get off that and get back to cultural Marxism. So these scholars brought cultural Marxism to America, and they were at Columbia University. And it's sort of like the Hegelian dialectic. This is what, in fact, Marx's classical Marxism is sort of, because Marx was a devotee of Hegel. It's, what is it? How do you say it? Thesis, antithesis, and then synthesis. So it's like, how am I relating that? It's like there's conflict in society, and you have something, capitalism, there'll be conflict, there'll be internal strife or contradictions, and then something else will come out of that. Something better will evolve from that strife. Well, since I already said that capitalism didn't fall within Marx's lifetime, and so then we get the Frankfurt scholars talking about it, and then they come to America, they come to Columbia, and they're putting this cultural Marxism in our school. It's about hegemony. So in America, who is the political hegemony in America? You guys know, right? And this is the thing, even though women make up more than 50% of the population in America, they're considered minorities. Why? Because cultural Marxism, or rather the cultural hegemony is patriarchal in America. The hegemony in America is what? He is white, he's heterosexual, he's cisgendered, he's able-bodied, and he's a native-born American. So anything that is not heterosexual, cisgendered, white, male, able-bodied, and a native-born American is oppressed and a victim and must work to overthrow this patriarchy, this cultural hegemony. And so women, they're not men. So yeah, they're there as victims. Women are victims because they're not the patriarchy, they're not the hegemony. The hegemony is over society and controlling everything. This group of folks with these attributes is controlling all aspects of society that is seeping to the masses and oppressing and victimizing the masses. So when you get something like take me. I'm a black woman, and I'm a black woman, yeah. So I have two areas, and then, so these are the three things. Intersectionality, which is what Kimberly Crenshaw, she's just adding another thing to this cultural Marxism. The other things was political correctness and what was the other one? Political correctness, and there's something else. Political correctness, I can't remember. But then and white privilege. Those are other two things. Political correctness, white privilege, and then Kimberly Crenshaw came up with intersectionality. So you take me, let's use me for an example. I'm a black woman. So I'm not a male, I'm not a male, I'm not white, I'm not cisgendered, I'm able-bodied, I'm able-bodied, yeah. And I'm a native-born American. Oh, so let's see. I'm a female and I'm black. So I have two areas of oppression and victimizations that intersect. You see how that works? And so therefore, I must work to overthrow this cultural hegemony, which is oppressing my life and oppressing everything. There's no way out of it. I must work with others who are oppressed, who are not those six things: cisgendered, heterosexual, white, male, native-born American. I must work with the other folks to overthrow this cultural hegemony. Does it make sense? That's what we're dealing with. That's what we're dealing with. So this critical race theory is an offshoot. The grandfather to critical race cultural Marxism is the grandfather to critical race theory because cultural Marxism, they're saying the same thing. They're just recycling. And so this is the thing that I want to say. I mean, weren't these issues, they're just recycling the same issues over and over. And so I guess to get new folks, this is probably why, Biden wants to give access to easy access. He wants to increase and give easy access to illegal immigrants to become citizens. Because you constantly need, unless you never study anything and you never examine history, you don't know that they're just recycling something. Like I said, those Frankfurt Scholars came to America in 1939, okay? So in other words, it's 100 years, a little more than 100 years, is that right? That they're recycling a theory. It's merely a theory. There is no, and so in other words, in 2021, we've been dealing, and Frances Cress Wellesley is dealing with, remember I talk about her, she talks about her, she popularized the term white supremacy. It's the same theory. She says it's a theory. And Dr. Amos Wilson said, listen, if that theory is not putting any money in black men's hands, it's useless. So these theoreticians or academicians are recycling the same, Joanne Reed, all of them. And I think the guy's name who started critical race theory is out of Harvard. They're merely intellectuals, but they're not so smart. But they prey on and rely on a new generation of people, the young folks, that don't realize it's hogwash, that don't realize it's merely recycled. It's like stale. It's like old laundry. We've been here before. Even, and this is something that I've mentioned on one of the comments I mentioned on Mark Lamont's show, is that, didn't Stokely Carmichael, or whatever his name was, Kwame, whatever, what was Stokely Carmichael's name? Didn't the Black Panthers do cultural Marxism? We know Paul Robeson did. Also Manning Johnson. Manning Johnson denounced it. Because you get into it and you realize, hey, listen, these people aren't interested. Manning Johnson realized they're not interested in Black America. They're not interested in the traditional family. I'm sure even W.E. Du Bois talked about it. He was a Pan-Africanist, and I'm sure many of those countries in Africa believed in cultural Marxism or communism/socialism. It's just a recycling of the same business over and over and over again, and no fruit is born. And this is the most insidious. Nothing is progressed. You must keep these people oppressed. We must keep these people, these non-cisgendered, non-heterosexual, so in other words, these LGBTQI folks, these transgender folks of color, and some women, or whatever. It's all these people who are not men, who are not heterosexual. So you can have, you can have a white homosexual that is oppressed. Yes. You can have a woman who is oppressed. She's a woman. You can have a woman who's oppressed. Can you have listen, if the less of those characteristics that you have, the more oppressed you are. So a white woman isn't as oppressed as I'm supposed to be, because why? I'm a Black woman, do you see? Anyway, there's the music. I want you to call in. We're going to listen. We love America. Call in. We love America. Happy birthday to America. The Declaration of Independence was ratified by the Second Continental Congress of Congress this day, July 4th. We love it because we're adults, we're wise, we're experienced, and we appreciate and we're grateful. Mature adults are grateful, yes. So we'll be right back. We'll be right back. This is Naked Truth Report. My name is Kathleen Wells.
We will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again.
Today there's things disappearing that I worked for all my life.
Hi, we're Diamond and Silk, and we love the Naked Truth Report.
Driving into Dallas and seeing the Texas School Book Depository looming in the distance was exciting. Too bad a murder of a president was a source of the excitement. Of course, I went to the 6th floor sniper's nest. Now it is dressed as a movie set, and no one is permitted to look out the window and down on Elm Street. But I was more interested in where the rifle was found. You would think it was left in the sniper's nest. It wasn't. 2 Dallas police officers found it down the hallway next to the stairs hidden beneath boxes of books. Officer Seymour Weitzman wrote a splendid and detailed description of the rifle he found. It looks nothing like the 20-year-old Italian Manicure Carcano the Warren Commission says was found. The Warren Commission lawyer questioning Weitzman must have read his report as he starts by questioning Weitzman's expertise as to rifles. Weitzman replied he was in the sporting goods business. Sporting goods in Texas means rifles, lots of rifles, all kinds of rifles. Weitzman's retort shut the lawyer up. I left the school book building heading toward the parking lot above Daley Plaza. I wanted to check out the 14-foot tower Lee Bowers, a switchman for Union Terminal, was standing on. Bowers told the Warren Commission of a vehicle moving slowly in front of his tower just before the president's motorcade arrived. The vehicle had out-of-state license plates, a Goldwater for President bumper sticker, mud caked up to the fenders, and a man speaking into a mic. Bowers also described two men standing behind a fence atop the grassy knoll, following intensely the motorcade's progress down Main Street. Asked if both men were in the same position at the time of the shots, Bowers replied the heavy-set, middle-aged man was, but the younger man in the plaid shirt was in the bushes. Bowers was about to add something, but was cut off by the lawyer with another question. Lee Bowers would die 2 years later in a strange, unexplained car accident. I left Daley Plaza for the Oak Cliff section of Dallas and the house where Lee Oswald was renting a room. I parked in front, staring at the front door, letting history wash over me. Oswald, leaving work, rushed into the house, going directly to his room. Earlene Roberts, the housekeeper, told the Warren Commission a Dallas police car parked in front of the house, honked twice, then pulled away. Lee then ran out the door, grabbing his jacket. Dispatch had ordered all units to Daley Plaza except one, which was told to remain at large for any emergencies. That patrol unit was Officer Tippett's. Now, I don't know if that was Officer Tippett parked in front of the house, but I do know Officer Tippett had 20 minutes left to live. An interesting fact is Earlene Roberts was the sister of Bertha Cheeks, a local real estate investor. Jack Ruby, 4 days before the assassination, asked Bertha if she would be interested in investing in an upscale club Ruby had in mind. She declined. I wonder if Jack asked her if she knew of a room for rent for a friend of his. That shot in Dallas changed everything. There was a direct line from Dallas to open season on politicians and citizens to 9/11, and now permanent election fraud via computer manipulation. Where will it end? How will it end? I'm Michael Calder, the author of JFK versus CIA, and if interested in the details of President Kennedy's assassination, get the hardcover edition at Barnes & Noble. And be afraid.
Yes, be afraid. I was speaking with, buy the hard copy of JFK versus the CIA, written by Michael Calder. I've read it. I've had him on the show. It's a fantastic book. I recommend it. Get the hard copy at Barnes & Noble. I was talking to Judge Joe Brown yesterday, and I told him, listen, I had Mike Lindell on the show, and he is going to do a quo warranto, file a quo warranto action with the Supreme Court because why? He has the evidence, the packet captures of, because I keep up with this. This is the most important thing to us Americans. This, getting to the bottom of the coronavirus and getting to the bottom of the election are the most important thing for America. The most important thing. We are appreciative of America. Why? Because we're adults, we're mature, we're experienced, and we're wise. We know to be grateful. We know to be appreciative. Most countries are one race. Hey, why don't on Steve Bannon's War Room, he has a Chinese woman on there talking about, the Chinese killed more than 80 million people. Okay? I wanted to say, in fact, I said on his radio, no, I said it on a comment on Facebook. How come you folks who hate America, who are always bashing America, like that woman who, you see, these people are dishonest. They lie to themselves. They lie to us. The woman, the U.S. Olympian, whatever, the thrower, javelin thrower, whatever, Gwen Berry, I think. They lie when you question them. They're just liars. They're not honest with themselves. They're not honest with you. When you ask them, well, why do you hate America so much? Oh, I don't hate America. I'm just, what did she say? But I'm just for my people. My people. What does that mean exactly? Because your people are American. We're not Africans, we're American. How do you define people? By their culture. I don't know I don't know. I'm not part of a tribe in Africa. I probably, I've had my DNA done. I've had many tribes in varying proportions inside of me, not just one. And those tribes in Africa they fought with each other. Just like Indian tribes fought with each other. This is human nature, folks. So this is why people who are knowledgeable and wise and mature, they respect and they appreciate. And I'll tell you, when you're appreciative, as opposed to being bitter and angry, your life is better. You're happier, because we're supposed to be pursuing what? Happiness. So these folks have a constant grievance, a constant gripe. They're oppressed, they're victims perpetually. It will never change. They are perpetual victims. And that's what cultural Marxism is about. It's about overthrowing the hegemony. Overthrowing the hegemony. They reduce everything to race, class, gender, and sex. And they even separate gender and sex, you see. It's how you identify. If your gender and your sex are together, you're cisgendered. But if your gender and your sex are not together, you're transgender. So you have a reason to feel oppressed. If you're cisgendered, your gender and your sex are together. You're the biology of a woman, you call yourself a woman. But if they're not together, then you're trans. And then therefore you must overthrow the cultural hegemony. Now, they talked about, I think it was Gramsci, I think it's Gramsci. His name is Grampsi. How do you leverage control? How do you overthrow this cultural hegemony? You get control of the robes. Who are the robes? The judges, the politicians, the scholars, the academicians, and the religious pastors. You see this evolving in our society. The schools, you see, the schools, the judges, they're all embracing, many of them, most, if not most, even the preachers are embracing critical race theory. Critical race theory is just the granddaughter to critical theory. They keep recycling this crap. And I guess they'll keep doing it until they overthrow the cultural hegemony, I guess, huh? That's what they want to do. Anyway, Voddie Baucham, his name is Voddie, Voddie Baucham, Baucham. He is the Dean of Theological Education at African Christian University. Check out his video on YouTube. You must check. It's beautiful. In fact, he also had an interview with the Heritage Foundation on critical race theory. It's called The Fault Lines of Critical Race Theory. Voddie Baucham, Baucham, and it's cultural Marxism. It's a beautiful thing. Even though I have a degree in political science, that was decades ago. I don't remember any of it. And so I could use a refresher course, right? They want to, I guess they will continue recycling until they overthrow the cultural hegemony. And we can see it's getting close, right? Because they dominate everything. Okay, now I'll take a phone call from, let's see, Carlos. Hi, Carlos and Carson. Welcome to the Naked Truth Report.
Happy 4th, and I tell you, your programs are so fascinating. All this thing about Marxism really fascinates me. Not because I'm a Marxist. No, I hate them. because it's so interesting and how they have gradually taken over. See, they use the Hegelian dialectic as the main instrument, as you were mentioning, the Hegelian dialectic, and that's the clash of ideologies, the clash of forces, which is now represented by the clash between men and women, homosexuals against the non-homosexuals, children against their parents, black against whites, whites against blacks, against Latinos. Everybody's fighting each other, and that's the way the Marxists are undermining our society. And, of course, you mentioned the theses, antitheses, and synthesis, right? Yeah, there's another way to describe it. Private problem, reaction, solution. A problem is created by these Marxist forces or the Illuminati behind the whole. The Illuminati is the umbrella for all these forces that are destroying worldwide all societies. A problem is created, then you got the reaction to the problem, and then you got the solution, which is always more control over the population. Let me give you an example.
Well, wait, are you saying the Illuminati, are you saying they're cultural Marxists?
Oh, they control all the different ideologies. If you really start tracing all the different ideologies, I'm talking about Zionism, talking about Islam, radical Islamism, communism, Nazism. You see the same international bankers and the same money in the Illuminati controlling all of this, funding all of them. And what they do is they pit them all against each other in perpetual warfare. You know, all these wars that we've had, you had the Nazis fighting the capitalists, fighting the communists, everybody, free for all. And what emerges out of that is a gradual new world order taking hold. I mean, I wish you really went down and investigated who really funds all these different movements, and you're going to find a commonality. It's always all these international bankers, which are part of the Illuminati. Basically, some of the basic families, you always see the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, the Warburgs, the Schiffs, and of course the City of London, which is the Bank of England. All them people, the Queen of England, they're always funding all these different groups throughout the ages. So they're really using all these different ideologies to be pitted against each other and gradually bring the new world order. Let me give you an example. 9/11. The Illuminati, of course, was behind it using, well, I don't want to mention who they used. Well, I'll mention it. Israel, although let's not talk about that right now. To create 9/11. What was the reaction? The American people got all mad and went up in arms. And what was the ramifications of that? Of course, it was the wars in the Middle East, which devastated all these different countries. Okay? Devastated all the different countries, which is what the Illuminati always wants. Devastation, chaos. Now, what emerged out of that? Out of 9/11 came out the Patriot Act, the Military Commissions Act, the John Warner Act, the National Defense Authorization Act. All these pieces of legislation were brought in surreptitiously, unannounced. And collectively, all these do is enslave the American people. So you see, you had the action, the reaction, and then the the thesis, antithesis, and the
Synthesis,
which is always more control over people.
Right.
And it can be described also as problem, reaction, solution.
Mm-hmm.
And this whole part of the Hegelian dialectic plays into all of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's their main instrument. Every problem in the world that you see, every society going up and up, just fighting each other, is described by the Hegelian dialectic. Once that a problem is created, then the Illuminati, of course, gets the reaction to the problem to react, and then there's always a solution: more government control over people. Let me give another quick example here, if you let me. The stealing of the election, okay? That was the action. What was the reaction? The conservatives go up in arms and say, hey, you stole our election here. What was the culmination of that, or the problem, reaction, solution? You have the Capitolium go up in flames, whatever happened, okay? What was the ramification of all that? The anti-domestic terrorist laws. You see how gradually they come up with laws? Now, all these laws are going to be used against all the conservatives at first, but eventually they're going to translate to the whole population, and that's the ultimate objective. That's the ultimate objective. Okay? So you always gotta be looking out. That's a perfect formula derived from Hegel: problem, reaction, solution, or antithesis, synthesis is the same thing.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Carlos. Yes. Thank you. I'm going to take the next call, Carlos. Okay, so I encourage people to watch this video with Vadi Bachman. It explains cultural Marxism. He's excellent. You got to get it. And he insists we must confront it. Yes, we must recognize it and we must confront it. And the most insidious thing about it is that what is the final result of it being imposed? And that gets back to what Carlos was saying. What the people that are espousing these theories, the people who will be most hurt are the most vulnerable people, the people with the less money. They will be most harmed. You know, all these people talking about critical race theory. Oh, we got the people who want that, embrace it, are the ones that are going to suffer the most. Don't you see? That's the insidious nature of it, because these people are actually broken. They need to be self-actualized. They don't know that they're broken. They don't know that they have problems, that they transfer their problems to the society. But they are the problem, that they need some fixing. Okay, let me take a call now from Andrea. Hi, Andrea. Welcome to the Naked Truth Report.
Hi, this is Angela.
Angela, sorry.
Hi, no. Happy 4th of July.
Happy birthday, America.
Yeah, I was calling about your first question and why you're patriotic or something like that. And our country is very giving, and I'll just leave it at that. But we have a choice as individuals to give or not, and we're not restrained by that either way. And we also are allowed to use our minds, and I think that's called freedom, okay? And it's the ability, it gives us the ability to practice our free will. And so that's why I'm patriotic. And I also like red, white, blue, black, yellow, purple, green.
Right. But we're free to do whatever we want. I mean, they have YouTube influencers who are American who are making $20,000, $30,000, $45,000, $50,000 a month. And other countries are copying our YouTube influencers to try to get in on it.
But the problem with that is that's not freedom, because they're taking it away from people who are influencers, and then they're demonetizing them. They're not allowing them to even make any money.
Wait, what do you mean? Be more specific.
On YouTube, some people aren't being given any money. They're just like not paying them, or whatever, however that payment system works.
Oh, well, yeah, I know. Maybe because of their content is conservative, right? And so, yes, I'm even experiencing that. So, folks, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Naked Truth Report YouTube. Please subscribe, and I'm also on Rumble. Now, what I do on YouTube, I just put basically the date so that those videos aren't deleted. If I put election fraud or something like that in there, they'll delete it. So I'll just put the date. But today's show, I will probably title it like January 4th, Happy Birthday America, or something like that. Or I will title it Cultural Marxism. But please subscribe to my YouTube channel, because I would like to make maybe $5 a month, okay? Okay, Angela, thank you. Now I'll take Brent. Hi, Brent. Welcome to the Naked Truth Report.
Yes, a holy 4th of July, Kathleen.
Hi.
Yeah, I wanted to comment on this concerning rise, it seems, especially these days coming from supposed conservatives who are talking about the ignorant and anti-Semitically rooted deception of the Rothschild family, as if somehow there's a secret cabal that they're involved in to control the world, which started in 1846 with a fraudulent pamphlet written by a Frenchman who used the pseudonym, he didn't even use his real name on it, calling himself Satan, who started the whole conspiracy of the Rothschild family, and by extension, the Jewish people in controlling the world and the banking industry. And it went on later to the Protocols of the Elders of Zion pamphlet, the fraudulent Russian pamphlet. And I think we have to be really careful that there are a lot of conspiracies today, authentic conspiracies, and then there are these lunatic, backwater, rooted in anti-Semitic conspiracy theories we have to be really careful with.
I don't use the word racism, and I try not to use the word racism, and I try not to use anti-Semitism, because both, I think, are overused, that they've become meaningless. I think they're used too much. So I don't know, and I don't know about the Elders of Zion. I've never read it. I know nothing about it. So I can't really comment on that. I don't think that I think we're all Americans, and we should all love each other, and this is America, and this is the birthday of America, and that we should all love each other. I believe that in my heart.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean
Amen.
I believe that in my heart. I believe that. That's how I roll. That's how I think. So I don't, and I just don't even like to get in like this group hates that group. I don't, because it just gets too, we get nowhere with it. I think that we should just love each other as Americans, period.
We should. And the true conspiracy has to do with the whole critical theory situation that goes back to the Frankfurt School and the Fabian, group, socialists, and, everything that's going on with Marcuse and, just all this nonsense. So there are these conspiracies. But then getting mixed in, because of the critical theory, everybody is supposed to be at everybody's throat. And part of the whole critical theory world is clearly anti-Semitism. That's the anti-Zionism. There's something wrong that Jews are living in the land of Israel, that the so-called Palestinian people have been living there for thousands of years that nobody knew about. I mean, they were basically invented in 1967, the whole Palestinian fraud. But
well, I don't know about that. I used to have the Palestine Today, and I would actually interview Palestinians. Mm-hmm. So they have a different point of view. I'm not taking a position on that. I don't even get in that. But because that's when I was a liberal, I did have Palestine Today, and I did interview Palestinians, and they have a different perspective. But I'm an American, you're an American, and we love each other, and that's the way I just want to keep it. I don't want to, that's like a tricky, everybody has their opinion, and their opinions are very strong, and I understand why. But we're Americans, and we love each other. Right, Brent?
Amen.
Okay, thank you very much. There's the music. We're Americans. We love each other. We love America. I'm patriotic. I think next week I'm going to have... I may have Judge Joe Brown and Kwame Brown and a black man who's an astrophysicist, and they're forming a brain trust. I may have them. We'll see. We'll be back next week, and thank you. Happy birthday, America. I love my Truth Warriors. I love my Mythbusters, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Naked Truth Report. I'll be right back. I'll be back next week. Thanks.